Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So we've got this really powerful piece of source material in front of us. It's a deep spiritual reflection that's all centered on this one concept, the great expectation.
And in the original text, that's a tish.
Right. And it's all built around what? Just a single short scripture verse, James 1.2.
Yeah, that's the one. The one that, famously tells you to consider all your trials as pure joy, that's a tough ask.
That's a very tough ask. And that's really the core tension we're diving into today. Our mission really is to cut through some of the noise and pull out the strategy here. How do we confront suffering, those daily frustrations, the trials that hit every single one of us?
And the whole thing, it really boils down to one critical insight.
It does. Your viewpoint determines your result. Or, and that phrase is basically the launch pad for the entire piece.
Yeah.
What's so interesting is that it immediately attacks, well, the most common assumption people have, especially when they're starting a journey of faith.
The expectation of comfort. Exactly. The idea that life should be smooth, easy, comfortable just because of what you believe. And the text warns that if you think that, you are in for a monumental shock.
And it justifies that right away by kind of redefining who you're supposed to be. It says, we are explicitly not sheltered people.
Right.
Instead, we're described as God's people scattered everywhere. Sheer out in the world, exposed to, well, all of its chaos.
It's a huge shift, isn't it? From a kind of fortress mentality to maybe a field mentality? If you realize you're meant to be active within a flawed world, then suddenly trials aren't a surprise. They stop being a sign of failure, and they just become a certainty.
And that's psychological preparation. That's everything. It lets you actually engage with the problem instead of just collapsing when it hits you.
Right. It's not a surprise attack anymore.
So let's talk about that engagement then, because the material gives us a very clear two-part framework for why suffering is inevitable. I found it incredibly useful.
It's a simple structure, but it's powerful because it separates out two totally different sources of pain.
Okay, so the first category is, well, it's pretty straightforward. Simply being human. This bucket holds all the universal stuff, the trials that every single person on earth faces, regardless of belief, background, anything. It's just life.
And that includes the really big catastrophic things. The text doesn't shy away from that. It names severe sickness, tragedy, even a cancer diagnosis.
These are things that don't discriminate.
Not at all.
But, and I think this is really smart, the reflection also includes the daily friction, the little things that don't destroy you, but they wear you down.
Like what?
Like the chronic stress from a huge workload that never seems to end, or that mind-numbing long commute, or maybe just feeling totally invisible and unappreciated by your boss.
And critically, the emotional drain of family issues, marital problems, especially that fear when your kid gets sick.
Right. These aren't spiritual problems, they're human problems. Everyone gets them. So that's bucket number one. Now, number two adds this whole other layer of complexity on top of that. It's the trials that come from being a Christian.
This is where the conflict becomes more external, more targeted. The reflection is very clear on this. First, it says Satan actively tries to attack believers.
Okay.
And second, the world itself can be hostile. It might oppose you or misunderstand you just for holding beliefs that are different from the culture around you.
So you're dealing with the universal pain of a long commute. And maybe you're also facing issues at work because your values clash with the company's. It just compounds it.
Exactly. The source calls this a life of conflict. You get the universal human struggles, plus the specific, often relentless spiritual and cultural friction.
That distinction is so important because it explains why this whole perspective shift, counting this stuff as joy, is so incredibly hard.
Yeah.
It's not just about getting through a bad day. It's about navigating a kind of war zone that maybe other people don't even see.
And that's why the core message holds up. I mean, even Jesus himself warned that there would be suffering in this world. Faith doesn't give you immunity.
It just gives you the tools to process the conflict differently.
That's it.
And that processing, that requires that major perspective shift we talked about.
Yeah.
And here's where the text uses this analogy that just, it really sticks with you.
I love this analogy.
The famous weaving factory.
Yes. It is the perfect illustration of why our short-term vision just leads to disappointment.
Okay, so let's set the scene for you. The author and his wife, they visit this world-renowned factory. They're watching a worker toiling away, But the thing is, the worker isn't seeing the beautiful tapestry.
No, he's underneath the loom. He's looking at the back of the rug.
And what does that underside look like?
Oh, it's a complete mess. The absolute opposite of the masterpiece you'd pay for. The patterns are what the text calls error.
Indistinct, blurred, confusing.
Totally. And all the different colored threads, the ones you need for the final pattern, they're all just cut and dangling. The source calls them hurt.
The loose, frayed ends just swaying everywhere. It looks like total chaos.
It looks like imperfection. It looks sloppy. If you judge the final product based only on that view, you'd walk away, maybe even demand a refund.
And that's the trap, isn't it? That is the precise psychological trap.
It is. The tour guide delivers the killer line. He says, "Don't judge the worker or his work by the wrong side."
The wrong side. That is such a powerful phrase for how we see our troubles. When we're in the middle of financial stress or a chronic illness or, I don't know, a betrayal at work, we are looking directly at the messy back end, the dangling threads.
And so we judge God, or we judge the whole purpose behind our suffering, based on this blurred, incomplete, painful picture we see today. But the text argues that only the weaver sees the finished, beautiful pattern on the other side.
So we have to avoid issuing a verdict on the work before the work is done.
It demands radical patience and trust in an outcome you can't see yet.
But that just,
Yeah.
it changes the whole frame. If we're frustrated, it's because our expectation is based on judging an unfinished work, which naturally leads us to the next part. Why do we start with the wrong expectation in the first place?
Well, a lot of people come to faith hearing the good news, right? Peace, joy, prosperity, eternal life. And that's a wonderful entry point, but...
But it can create a very transactional view.
Exactly. It sounds like a guaranteed comfort plan. I mean, who wouldn't sign up for that?
Of course.
But the source material gives us this necessary, very stark contrast. It reminds us that Jesus called his followers to take up their cross. And the text is forceful here. The cross was not a modern decorative piece of jewelry.
No, it was a cruel Roman instrument of execution.
The ultimate image of sacrifice, of suffering. So following requires paying a price, which often means enduring trials for a purpose, not just expecting an easy out.
If you don't get that hard truth early on, you fall right into what the source calls the joss stick God mentality.
Yes, though he's such a powerful cultural reference.
Can you explain that a little? For anyone who might not be familiar with the context, what does that mean?
Well, it refers to folk deities who are expected to grant every wish. The concept is yoon.
Okay.
In modern terms, it's like viewing faith as a vending machine. I put in my belief, and out comes immediate comfort, health, money, a perfect marriage.
So if I pray for a specific promotion and it doesn't happen, I feel cheated.
Precisely. If that transactional deal is broken, if the wish isn't granted, you get exactly what the source describes. Frustration, doubt, maybe even cursing the creator.
The relationship shifts from devotion to just demanding payment.
And that's a pitfall that guarantees disappointment. You're demanding that the weavers stop the loom right now and give you a comfortable result, even though the text says the rain and sun fall on everyone.
Right. We all face the same car accidents, the same unemployment, the same difficult bosses.
So true understanding, according to this reflection, means recognizing that faith changes you, not necessarily your external circumstances.
It doesn't remove the hard stuff. It changes how you approach it.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the path to growth. So how do we actually respond to these things? How do we begin to count them as joy, even when we're in the middle of the chaos?
The reflection is very pragmatic here. It says your life must be changed internally first, before your external circumstances can even start to improve.
So you can't wait for the difficult person to leave your life or for your workload to get smaller before you start growing.
No. The growth happens right there in the crucible of that pressure.
So if I have a high-stress job or I'm dealing with a really critical boss, the solution isn't to pray for them to get fired. It's using that situation as a catalyst for my own internal change.
That's the heightened perspective. You view that exact same high-pressure environment or that same difficult person with a heightened sense of faith and tolerance. You start asking, how is this person or this stress refining me?
Okay, but what are the tools for that? Because have more tolerance is easy to say, but it's really hard to do in the moment.
It focuses entirely on your response. When you're in a difficult interaction, you have to engage with expression, a gentle heart.
A gentle heart.
And your words need to be wise, fitting, appropriate words. It's about maintaining your internal control so your response doesn't make things worse or, degrade your own character.
That requires huge daily discipline. Choosing wisdom over reaction, gentleness over being defensive.
Because you can't avoid the difficulties, but you can choose how you navigate them.
And that leads to the ultimate action item.
It does. Surrendering sovereignty.
What does that mean, practically?
It means letting go of the control you only think you have over external outcomes. And instead, you actively seek strength every day through spiritual practices or a will.
So the goal isn't to make the hard things stop. It's to gain the courage and faith you need to face them, whether they're God's refining process or discipline, or even a temptation from Satan.
It's about being equipped for the fight.
Equipping the scattered people.
Yes. The strength to engage with that messy underside of life. It comes from the daily practice of surrendering that illusion of control.
And that's how the great expectation finally clicks into place. It's not the expectation of comfort. It's the expectation of a beautiful, finished outcome that results from the trials, but only when you see it from the right long-term perspective.
The messy underside eventually becomes the masterpiece.
And it forces you to do some powerful self-reflection. The source basically asks, how many of the serious trials you're facing right now can you genuinely count as great joy?
And how can you leverage that process to gain even greater joy? It's about recategorizing your suffering. It's not punishment, it's the raw material for transformation.
It's the difference between asking, why is this happening to me, and what is this moment creating in me?
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the source is really urging us to move beyond treating the divine as some kind of immediate wish granter, that transactional.
Right.
So I want you to consider right now, what specific area of your life, maybe it's a stalled career, a chronic health issue, a really frustrating relationship, where are you currently demanding instant comfort? And how might reframing that demand, seeing it instead as a necessary super-refining environment, how might that fundamentally change your daily approach to that problem? You stop fighting the process, and you start seeking the finished product.